Good morning and welcome to Sunday, December 29th, 2019. And today we're going to step aside from Ezekiel for a moment and go to the book of John, John chapter 4. And today's devotion is titled Living Water. So John chapter 4, verses 13 and 14. Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Few things are more necessary than fresh water. We can only live mere days without it. In God's Word, we see the imagery of water over and over. For example, the Jordan River was a central fixture in the history of the Jews. Our lesson talks about the river that will flow from the temple during the millennium. And there will be a river flowing in the New Jerusalem as well. Water is literally life. Our bodies are not the only thing that thirsts. Our souls thirst as well. Our souls thirst for a relationship with the divine being we all know exists, even if we do not know the particulars. The woman at the well in our story was clearly thirsting. Here she was divorced 5 times, living in sin currently, and likely ostracized and rejected by those around her. She had and practiced the religion of her day. She and Jesus talked about her religion, in fact. The religion she drank from, like most in the world today, required repeated trips to some well of work and striving in order to satisfy the requirements of some deity. That was true in her day, and it's true now. How many still drink from the well of works, righteousness, rules, and legalism? I'm afraid way too many. Yet Jesus told us that if we drink of His living water, we will never thirst again. What well are you drinking from? And our final thought is, the needs of our soul are far greater than the needs of our bodies. As the living water and the bread of life, Jesus can satisfy those needs. You know, this makes an excellent point here that our bodies require food and water to sustain. Without food and water, we die. But here's the reality. No matter how much food, no matter how much water we ingest, ultimately, our bodies are still going to die. Now, granted, we need the food and water for temporary sustenance, but eventually it does run out and our bodies wither away. But here Jesus is talking about Him being the living water, the spiritual water that never ends. When your body dies, your soul will remain somewhere. That's the reality. But if your soul has been drinking of the Lord's spiritual water, you're being fed what it takes to prepare yourself for the eternal kingdom in heaven. So ultimately, we're going to spend more time in heaven than we are on earth, or more time somewhere else than here on earth. So why not prepare for that? Why do we thirst for the earthly things? And by thirst, I don't mean water. But why do we thirst for the temporal opportunities? The temporal things that the world can provide us? Because the world cannot provide any permanence, only temporary things. Yet we feed so much of our attention and we thirst for so much worldly stuff. We ought to thirst for the eternal. We need to thirst for the spiritual. And Jesus says that He is the living water. So when your spirit thirsts, turn to the Lord. Turn to Jesus Christ. Don't turn to the world, because that's temporary and ultimately it'll let you down. So I hope that's been a blessing to you. I hope you enjoyed the devotion, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.